out here earlier this afternoon. It was pretty peaceful. As you heard Mayor Lori Lightfoot talking about that, she said she respected the peaceful protest, but it definitely did take a turn here, specifically here in Chicago's Loop. So take a look here behind me. This area is cleared out because they have taken and lifted all of these bridges here. This is a live look right now at Wabash and Wacker. It flips pretty quickly. 1 minute I was, tweeting out the pictures, felt pretty safe standing over there by State Street. We were just in that area about 5-10 minutes, and then you turn around and you see a lot of smoke and all this action and all these police officers and fire crews rushing in there on State Street because somebody had what it looked like, according to the protesters who were standing there too and watching as it happened, Ravi, was that they started a fire in a dumpster, pushed that dumpster into the police squad car. That squad car then lit on fire. There was at least one police officer who was badly injured. Mayor Lori Lightfoot talking about an officer with broken bones. So they're trying to work with the crowds, talk to the crowds, and then they turn around and there's a fire, there's people breaking windows. So it does escalate quickly, and then it calms down, and then you don't know kind of what's going to happen next. So we've been definitely monitoring the situation out here across the city of Chicago, specifically in the Loop. And the police officers were trying to make barriers and trying to kind of barricade off certain areas here in the Loop to try to keep the protesters out of this area. And that's pretty much why they started taking up and lifting up these bridges here so they could stop the protesters from going back and forth. Because earlier, too, there was a chaotic situation in front of the Trump Tower where we saw protesters destroying another squad car there. So, Ravi, definitely an active scene out here ahead of this 9 p.m. curfew. Very tense, and now what's left behind is complete destruction here. We're talking police cars lit on fire, windows smashed, and take a look right here. This is the State and Lake restaurant attached to the Witt Hotel right here in the Loop. That was their window, completely smashed out. You can see the glass all over the sidewalk here. This is the Witt Hotel. And then if we turn around right here, you can see the heavy police presence right in the middle of this intersection. And they've been trying to get people to get out of here. The message from the mayor tonight, go home or get arrested. At least 3,000 protesters flooding the Loop. This Chicago police squad car lit on fire on State Street. Police trying to get the crowd under control. Near the Trump Tower, protesters badly damaging these CPD cars. You can see people spray painting the police car windows and smashing the windows. That's when these officers came in.
All this stuff wouldn't even happen if police wouldn't continue to kill innocent people.
In the Loop, a CPD car tagged with graffiti, egged, and the tires slashed. This video shows protesters dancing on top of the hood of that car. After intense clashes overnight, the protest over the death of George Floyd escalated.
I think what's happening is people are realizing that they need to take it a step further.
The protesters moving these barriers and blocking traffic on Upper Wacker. Police drove up on the sidewalk to get around the group. The crowd chanting, "No justice, no peace." No justice, no peace! We have seen a heavy police presence here in the Loop as they try to keep everything under control, but it was chaos just a short time ago. And we're talking police cruisers and squad cars set on fire and lots of other damage. Take a look right here. This is just some of the glass that's now left behind after protesters smashed out this area of a CTA bus stop. And then take a look right over this way. This is here on East Wacker. I'll step out of the way. You can see as we walk down, one window's okay, and that's about all that's left. Everything else has been smashed in over here, and people have also tagged the area here with graffiti. This is the Fifth Third Bank. Earlier, specifically in this large crater that's now left behind after someone threw rocks and other items through the bank windows. They actually crawled through, and people were getting their hands on pretty much whatever they could and then coming back out here in the streets. And at that point, police were kind of standing back and letting those protesters do their thing. It's what they did earlier during the protest, but it's pretty amazing to look at the city view and then just take a look at all of those bridges that are closed down and lifted to stop people from getting through. But it's definitely been an active scene. We saw state police, we saw sheriff deputies, we saw local CPD officers driving around, and once you take a look at all of this that's left behind, they're going to have a lot of cleanup to do. So we'll keep you posted with all of the details here, but CPD definitely has their crew out here. And I mean, the mayor couldn't have had a stronger message to those protesters, and some still not listening tonight, but go home or you're going to get arrested. So
right.
As we show you the rest of the damage, you can see what they're dealing with, Revy. There's smoke everywhere. You got to take a look here. One protester was just arrested right here in the middle of Michigan Avenue. You can see he's surrounded by 4 CPD officers in SWAT gear. That protester just tried to run not only across this police barrier after the curfew, but he tried to run directly into this. This is the fire situation happening right on Michigan Avenue right now. This is the Blackhawk store right here. This entire window actually slid out. So came off in a complete sheet. That sheet completely shattered. And I did see people earlier, Revy, actually running around with body of a mannequin. I don't know if it's from this store or another store, but people are just taking whatever they can get their hands on and running around the city at this point. Revy, that structure fire here in Michigan Avenue still working. Stepping out of the way here, you can see they've just hooked up the fire hose right here to these fire hydrants on Michigan Avenue to give them yet another source of water to battle this blaze. At this time, we have asked the Chicago Fire Department, who's very busy right now, to tell us if there is any idea of a possible cause. They don't know that yet. They're still trying to figure out how this fire could have started. And on top of it, and on top of all the other chaos happening with the protesters and the other looting, as Will was talking about today at some of those stores in and around the city, they have had at least 2 structure fires that are happening right now.
We saw some people looking around, just wanting to see. They're curious. Do you get any sense that there are any protesters here trying to engage police at all, anywhere near you, to try to carry on the sort of, if you will, the political side of this still? Or have they all gone home?
No, there's still some people out here. I mean, just in the last live shot we did with you in the last 10 minutes, you saw the one protester who was not only still out here after the curfew that the mayor put in place, but was also trying to run into the area where there's first responders and fire crews trying to put out a large fire. And he had to be handcuffed, and he was arrested and taken away by crews out here. So there's still people out here.
All right. We will continue to check in with you. Thank you so much, Alexis McAdams on the streets on Michigan Avenue.
That said they were here for their message. They were here to talk about George Floyd. And those people went home. Now, there are mixed in with other crews and other people who were out here that did have some confrontations with police and other investigators. But when that all ended and it looked like it was calming down in the Loop, this happened. This is the second structure fire that we've seen in the Loop in the past hour or so. You can see those fire crews going into that burning building. This is in the 300 block of North Michigan Avenue. Top of the working structure fire that you're seeing right now, we've also been told by CFD they've had several car fires. Some of those cars that were set on fire were CPD squad cars. So they were working to put those out. Crews are telling us those were set by Molotov cocktails. And then earlier, right over there on Staten Lake, right near the ABC7 studios, we saw some protesters start a fire into one of the large trash bins and push that right into a police squad car, which started another fire. And then walking this way, we'll give you just kind of a last look here. Yeah, it looks, Revy, like at least until the protesters kind of come up and engage with the police officers, or they're throwing rocks, or there's some type of behavior happening that is not allowed down here in the downtown area at all, let alone after a curfew that's been put in place during these protests. That's when they will engage. But I want to toss right now to this video, because for people at home watching, this is something that we saw just a short time ago right here near Staten Lake. I don't know if you can see it right now on your screen. This is a protester. At first we thought it was a police officer coming, you know, toward us on a horse. And then when we talked to some officials, they said, that's not somebody that's with us. I don't know how he got on that horse, but he's been somebody that we've seen running around here in the Loop and in the Michigan Avenue area, and specifically right here in Staten Lake. So, you know, as we go back to that question of, are people going home? Or are people willing to get arrested if they stay out here? Well, you know, there you see a guy on a horse riding around the city when everyone knows you're not supposed to be out here. So it's just, I mean, we have seen some bizarre behavior, but we have to go back, and as Will mentioned, people do have a great message too. Some of the protesters who were out here said they were out here to be peaceful. They wanted to talk about George Floyd, they wanted to talk about the video, and they wanted to talk about the Black Lives Matter movement. And so some of that I know we did get that message in earlier in the broadcast, but now it's kind of turned to a lot of chaos. But most of the people we talked to said, we know that yesterday when this was happening, they said we were out here in the afternoon on Friday, and it was fine when the leaders were out here leading the protest, and there was, gatherings and there was peaceful protests. But they said once a lot of those leaders do leave the protests and go home, and it gets dark outside, and that curfew obviously is in place, there are still some people out here that are not here to really deliver that message at this time. So that's what we've seen with the broken glass and some of the other things that we've been seeing.
He's on the move right now. Alexis, where are you? What have you got?
Robbie, we're in Staten Lake right now. Take a look right here. You can see an altercation right now going on with Chicago police officers after we also just saw several people kick in some of the store windows here between the Subway and the Dunkin' Donuts. And this guy's now taken off on a skateboard from police with a large garbage bag. And we've got a situation going around the corner. We're going to try to stay back here.
Stay safe now.
Yeah, we're back.
So there's your encounter. Oh.
There's the encounter. And this was after people were also throwing rocks through store windows where these police officers who were in full riot gear were.
And as people are watching along, Alexis, we just want to point out again, this is live.
And as we've mentioned throughout the entire night, the message here is to talk about the death of George Floyd, and it turned into a little bit of a chaotic scene down here. It ended with lots of stores being damaged. When people come out here tomorrow and the next day, especially after the pandemic, after a lot of people hadn't even been around the city, they're going to see some major damage. We saw the Witt Hotel completely smashed in, all of the windows, and that was just a second ago where we saw multiple people just kicking and kicking and kicking at the Subway and at the Dunkin' Donuts. And the police are just right around the corner. They can hear that, and they can hear the smashing and the damage. So that's when they came around in their full, their suits and their batons.